The time to take that temperature reading is during the last cool down cycle, just prior to opening the door and pulling the clean clothes out. Again, I'm always going to use Friday as an example for the record keeping day. If you run 10 loads on Friday, it doesn't matter which load you use to do your temperature or leak records, pick one of them. And what I have found is some of the temperature gauges are on the front of the machine, some are on the back of the machine. I've had them on top of the machine where you had to climb a ladder. And the guy actually got up on his knees on the machine just to read the temperature gauge. I asked for a mirror in that case, so I could read it. What's important is where the probe is, not where the gauge is. If you've ever seen these temperature gauges in your kitchen that tells you what the outside temperature is, that's because the probe is outside. You can put that temperature gauge on the front door of the building. It's where that probe is. And where that probe is supposed to be measuring is the temperature of the exhaust at the outlet of the refrigerated condenser. I'll say that again, the temperature of the exhaust at the outlet of the refrigerated condenser. What's coming out of that refrigerated condenser? If you think of the refrigerated condenser like a whiskey still, the guy boils his corn mesh down here in this copper kettle. He sends it through the spiral tubes, and it drips out as a liquid into the jar. What he's doing, he's vaporizing it down here in this kettle. He's cooling it off when it goes through the coils, and then it's turning back into a liquid and going back into the jar. That's the same thing that your refrigerated condenser does. Your machine is vaporizing the perk, that's why you can smell it. If those vapors are going up to the refrigerated condenser, being cooled back down, turned back into a liquid, and then being returned to the machine. So that's the way that what you're measuring is the temperature of the exhaust, what's coming out of that refrigerated condenser. And the time to do that is during the last cool down cycle, just prior to opening the door and pulling the clean clothes out. Now what I've found, when I do it, that machine shuts off, I'm looking at that temperature gauge. That temperature gauge at times will continue to fall. But after a short period of time, it'll start climbing up. So you don't want to wait very long before you take that temperature reading.